So unfortunately, my client has refused to pay me for the work you're about to see in this video. So just before we start the video, I just wanted to say if you're interested in this story, you can just skip to the end of the jewelry making part and you can listen to where I explain the whole story about that. But I do encourage you guys to enjoy the jewelry making process. We still did make something beautiful, so there is beauty in this video, but unfortunately, in the end, it is a little bit sad. Welcome back to another video, guys. This is part 2 of making the wedding rings. In the last video we made the woman's wedding ring, and in this one we're making the men's wedding ring. And I'm just parked at this super cool beach spot on the Gold Coast, and I have to cut the opal for the men's ring because it wasn't cut at the bottom. I'll show you a little video, but I'm just about to get my gem machine out here and set it up right here so I can cut the stone, and then we got to get onto the ring to make the ring. So I'm excited. It's gonna be a good day. So we need to move all this stuff. So much stuff to move. We gotta get our power source. Right. I just want to be putting a little bit of water here because I need to save some for my dishes. We don't need much water at all. That will be all we need. So this is the opal here, and as you can see, it's quite thick, and we don't want that to be super thick on top of someone's finger, especially the way I'm making this ring. So we're just going to come down more on the back. It's also not flat. They didn't really cut the best. Also, the color bar is ultra thin. It almost doesn't exist. So we are not touching the top of this or the sides of this at all. I'm only going to be taking off the back. I do not want to touch this gem at all. It's not mine, and I only just want to make it smaller on the back. All right, got our gem machine on. Just going to take a little bit off the back. Super easy. All right, that's about where I want it. Now we're just going to go on the soft wheel. So here is the gem, and here is the new thickness. And now I just have to pack up this and dry it all out. Make sure it's all packed away, and then I can start on the ring. Right, so we get our jewelry tools out. And if you guys remember in the last video, we already have our metal prepared. So we have our backing plate, we have our 2 rings that we just have to make them to size Z, and this is our bezel wire. So everything's already ready, which is really, really nice. So first start off with making 2 rings at size Z. This is way overkill. I was just trying to make sure I had enough before. But so we need to twist this around to the mandrel really difficultly because we made this harder on ourselves. And now we got our 2 rings. We just have to clean up the ends and make them both perfect size. They probably both need a couple mils filed off them. You know what I just realized? I actually need them Z+1 because I'm putting 2 together and going to make him be open, like on an angle. So I need to do them in one size bigger to make them size Z in the end once they're sideways. So the ring that I just made is going to be too small. Lucky this one is already one size too big, and I've got just enough wire to make another one. So starting again. And that's what happens when you're just not thinking sometimes. So now we just need to solder these, and they're not perfect size. I will need to probably resize it later once I've got the ring together, but right now it's okay. I just want to get this ring together, worry about getting the perfect size later. Alright, while those rings are just cleaning in the acid, I'm just going to start bending around my bezel wire and double checking that I even have enough, because this is all we got. Dude, the wind is coming in from the beach, because the beach is just here, is actually so annoying. It's really cold. But anyway. So this opal is not perfectly triangular shaped, but that's okay, it doesn't really matter. It does bother me when shapes aren't perfect, but it's okay. It's not gonna mess with the ring too much. Is what it is. Where do I want the solder joint on the bottom of this? Maybe... yeah. So I've made my bezel perfect, now I just have to solder it together. Now I've just got my rings while that thing's in the acid. And I'm just going to make them perfectly round and... is this Z+1? Yeah, cool. So this setting is perfect around that stone, and now I just need to file it flat, get it ready to solder onto the backing plate. And my rings are perfect size too. So, alright, so now I'm just up to soldering the backing plate onto the bezel. Now we chuck some solder around. Alright, so for lunch, I have some wild rice I cooked yesterday. I'm just gonna have some avocado with it. And some broccoli sprouts and some lettuce, and all I have to do is cut it up. So simple lunch. We have no room though to make it. What am I going to do? We are going to use my chair as a table. I'm going to have this half Lebanese cucumber, so getting our veg in. Wow, this meal's actually going to be massive. What the hell? I didn't realize how much rice I had. Chuck some lettuce in here. And broccoli sprouts. For more greens. Okay, so this is actually a lot of food. I did not realize how much I had, otherwise I would have used a bigger bowl. So now we add our salmon, and I got stuff to make a sauce as well, because you can't just be having this stuff plain, man. We're having mustard, dollop of honey, tamari soy sauce, which is just so yummy. It's a well cooked home meal, man. Well, I didn't cook it, but you know what I mean, man. This stuff is amazing. Wow. Alright, so back to work. That lunch was amazing. Look at my backing plate that was soldered onto the bezel here, and we're just going to cut that out. Now I just have to foil it, flush around. So now I'm just making my rings flat so I can solder these together. Is the next step. Alright, I got this thing rigged up with another thing. And let me just tell you, I've spent the last half an hour just trying to rig it up. This is just the most stressful solder joint I think I've ever done, and I actually thought this would be easy. Like, I've done this before with thicker wire and smaller rings, and it was easy as, but with a size Z, every little tiny imperfection you see that's not level is so noticeable with this big size ring. So it's just making the job 1,000 times harder. So this ring is all soldered together sort of thing, and then now I just want to cut a hole in the back of this and then solder that on top. Alright, so I thought I'd show you guys what I've done so far up close. So I've polished inside the ring, because I know you won't be able to do that after I do this. And I've also polished underneath the setting, and I filed some grooves for the round wire to actually sit in, but I don't know if you can see them. You can see them a tiny bit. They've fired some grooves, but that setting is currently locked in on those grooves, so it only moves from left to right. But right now it's really center, so I want to leave it. But I'm just going to solder that like that on top there, and then onto the next step from there. But this seems to be held on pretty well with that binding wire. And the only thing is, this stone is not perfectly symmetrical, so it's never going to be a perfect shape and perfectly symmetrical everywhere, but it's pretty close. Like, from what you see here, like, that looks pretty good, I reckon. But I'm quite happy with it, and I'm going to solder that, and yeah. So I'm about to solder this, and I honestly don't know if that binding wire will hold this, because it's bad binding wire. It's too thin, and I'm trying to solder this with medium so that I can solder the curls on with easy. So that is making life really, really hard, trying to get the right solder temperatures. Oh shit, see how that freaking binding wire just heated up red hot in 2 seconds? Trying not to heat the binding wire here, but it's impossible. If that binding wire snaps, then we're cooked. Need that ring to heat up in every spot. Come on. Binding wire getting too hot. Again. I thought this would be hard to do with medium. We got it. Oh, that was really hard. If I could do the opposite side, and then we're golden. Yes. So at this part of the ring making process, I've been debating about putting some curls on there, but I didn't actually mention it in the video, because I was just thinking in my head, is this going to be like a masculine sort of thing or a feminine sort of thing? But I really wanted to make it match the wife's wedding ring. So I was either going to inscribe a curl on the backing plate inside the ring stone that will be hidden away like a curl just to match the wife's ring. But instead, I made some curls that you're about to see that go either side of the stone that I just think match the wife's wedding ring so much more better and still keep a masculine look, which I'm so happy with. So let's get on to that part. Alright, so now that I've got this soldered on here, I want to put these curls, one going that way and one going the opposite way on the opposite side, which will be really, really cool. And I like how they're on top of the other rings, so it's going to be like a 3D sort of thing. It's going to create that like more 3D effect. And this is going to curl in a little bit more and make it a thing. You will see. I went to bed. Good morning, guys. It is the next day. Beautiful day. Feeling some good energy, but my back has been really sore from making jewelry, man. So I'm just doing some little back exercises this morning. It's currently about 7 a.m. So one of the reasons why I quit jewelry work is because of the constant bending over working on stuff. It really hurts your neck, it really hurts your back. I think that might be one of the reasons why. I worked as a bench jeweler for 10 years and I've got some back problems now. It's also tattooing. Tattooing also hurts a lot. But woo, let's get past this exercise. Ugh. Oh, that's a hard one. Oh. But yeah, back's just freaking cooked. So these days when I'm making jewelry, I'm really picky with the work I take on. I only take on something I really want to do and think will be awesome, and only once in a blue moon. I'm not making jewelry every day anymore. I just can't do it. The body can't do it, man. I'm trying to heal, trying to get better, not trying to go backwards. Anyway, besides our back being a bit sore, I'm feeling good energy. I'm really happy with the progress that we made last night. I was working till really late last night and I just couldn't be bothered filming after that. I had a dinner really late and then I just went to bed. But the progress we made was freaking amazing. We got so much done, and today I just want to solder those two sides on. You're about to see what I mean. And let's just skip to that. So I'll see you guys soon. Alright, so this is where we left off last night. We have these two little bits that are going to be going on the side of the ring like this sort of thing. And I like how it sits on top rather than going in, just because it gives more of that like 3D sort of look. But I have a lot of cleaning up to do. I'm going to be hammering the end to make it like kind of go into that gap. And I do need to resize this. It is one size too big. So I made the rings too big, unfortunately. But easy little resize first, and then we'll get on to fitting these properly and soldering these on top. So I did my resize, and then I shaped the curls around the ring a bit more, and I just made a little time lapse while I was doing that. Alright, so this is sitting in here bloody perfect. I'm really happy with it. And now I just need to clean all this up and make it perfect, because I got tiny little marks on where I've bent the metal. So I need to polish it all before I solder it on here. See all these little marks here? They need to come off. It needs to be perfectly smooth and polished. Then I prepared some binding wire for soldering. So we have it all bound together now, and it is all polished. And I did file a little bit against the setting there where it sits. So I'm going to solder that part on first and then bend that back into shape once that first solder joint is on there. Now this is where the job is starting to get really hard, because that setting, I can't heat up that too much and have it move on me at all. Otherwise we're screwed. So we're soldering with easy now with this little side bit. And we should be okay. We just got to be very careful not to heat it up too much. There we go. Alright, so that's soldered on there quite nicely. Now I just need to get this all sitting correctly inside the ring. Alright, so now that's sitting how I want it. I just need to solder it together. I've got the spring tweezers kind of holding it down to where the position is that I like. And again, we just have to be careful when heating this up, not to heat up the other side too much where I've already soldered. So we're going to flood this back part with a decent sized bit of solder, heating from the back so it like sucks in. That's looking good, perfect. That flooded nice. Yeah. Alright, so this one's soldered 1-2 places. Now I just got to do the other places, and then we're done with soldering. And then I'm going to have breakfast, is my plan. So I'm so hungry. It's been a big morning. I've been at this thing for hours already, and I haven't even had breakfast. I'm having breakfast for lunch because I've been at this thing for hours, but I'm in the zone and I just wanted to get it done. So that's why I kind of just pushed through. So for breakfast today, we're just having the same thing as I've been having most mornings, which is 1 egg and then some cereal. So my cereal is just 1 scoop of protein powder and then water. And mix that up. Then I add in a bunch of cornflakes. And then we add some YoPro yogurt. I lost some footage of me matching the swirl on the other side, but I did. So here we are the next day. So she's all soldered together, and as you can see here, it's looking really good. All the solder joints all the way around the ring are looking nice. Everything's soldered. Now we just have a lot of cleaning up and polishing to do before we set the stone. So let me get straight onto that. So this part, very easy, just very, very time consuming. Just getting into every little tiny bit, cleaning up all my solder joints, and then polishing. So I polished it all. I just need to set it now. So clean up, then set. And of course, that's the most scary part of the day. But freaking hell, this looks freaking cool as. While my water's heating up, I just want to show you guys the ring as it's all polished. I think it looks freaking incredible, man. Like, look at that on my finger. I'm a lot smaller, obviously. This is for a big, big finger. But that is looking freaking awesome. And on another finger that's the right size, it's gonna look freaking insanely cool. Now we'll have to polish this one more time after I've set it, but right now all I need to do is give it a good clean. Now we cannot put opals in the ultrasonic, although I have put my own opals in the ultrasonic. I will not risk a client's just in case, but I have actually put my own opals in here multiple times when cleaning jewelry, and they've been fine. So with that is time for setting, the make or break time, where all your hard work could have been for nothing if you crack the stone. But let's do our best to set this and hopefully we get it right. Right, so we have a stone here, and this thing fits like an absolute glove. It's perfect. You just push it down, absolutely slides in there beautifully. Nice edge. Now I will need to set this on the mandrel again and then polish on the inside once I'm done this. Make sure this is punching, not too hard but not too soft. Holy moly, there's a freaking Lamborghini that just rocked up. That's sick, dude. It looks awesome. So we've got it as far as I need to, but the sun is so freaking blistering hot on me. But I need to go around once more with this on soft. I'm just honestly dying in the sun. I don't know where else to do this. I can't do it here, kind of. I don't know, maybe. Oh, it's just, I'm not really low on the ground. Dude, that sun, man. I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up with a sunburn tomorrow, because I've been working in that heat all morning and it's been really hard. I keep on having to stop because it's so bloody hot. Well, all morning, all lunchtime now. All day. So we want to put this on softer now. That's as soft as it goes. And we want to go right into the inside edge. That's all good now. So now I have to polish it. So now I just have to go around this setting edge with the rubber discs here. Very carefully. And make it look nice without hitting the stone. Give it that last little final polish, because we cannot touch the stone with this polisher, otherwise it'll mark the stone. So that's why it's so hard to set opals, man. Any other stone you'd be able to polish straight on top of, kind of thing, but not an opal. Opals are just so delicate. Here is the reveal. Look at this freaking absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous ring. I freaking love the scroll patterns, and I think it's still quite masculine. I don't think it's feminine at all, but it still matches the wife's, which is just absolutely amazing. Like, oh, it just looks so good. I'm gonna have to give you guys a little bit of a finger look. The opal looks a bit dull in here, so I'll give you a sunlight look as well, but I'll put it on finger too and show you guys what that looks like on the finger. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful ring. So we have our scrolls on the side looking really, really cool. I love the scrolls, man. I think they're just absolutely perfect with the scrolls. I freaking love this ring. Like, look at that, just sitting on my thumb. Really, really cool. Let's give you an outside shot. And then as we go into the sun, look at this stone just pop in the light. Absolutely crazy stone. And this stone has some sort of script pattern as well, if we get on the right angle. Where is the script pattern? There, on that angle. You got that script pattern. Such a beautiful stone. I really, really like it. It comes alive with different angles. And yeah, the ring itself, as you see in the light, the scrolls, absolutely beautiful, beautiful wedding ring. I'm so happy with it, and I'm keen to show my client now. So here's a video of both rings together, showing you guys just how they match and how, like, I love how one's just masculine, one's feminine, but they still match and it's just perfect. I'm just so happy with the result. And as you can see in these videos, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. So usually this is a happy ending of the video where I'm super happy with the work, and I've sent videos to the client and they're super happy with the work and all that sort of stuff. And we both are. That is all true. That did happen. But it has taken a turn for the worst when we are discussing the price. So I really love to try and explain to you guys as best I can about the situation that I'm going through and what has happened. But I'm really not good at doing these sit down and talking videos. I've actually tried to make this video 3 times already, and my rambling just rambles on too much and the story is scattered. I don't know how to express myself and how to get the story right. I've never been a good storyteller in my whole life. So these sitting down talking videos, trying to explain everything, is very, very difficult for me, and I'm trying to do my best. I'm gonna try and make this one right. We'll see if this one gets uploaded, but something that I'm really trying to get across is how I really thought these people were friends of mine, and I've been friends with them for quite a long time, and I held them in really high regard. Never had an issue with these people. I've done lots of work for them in the past, and I've always given them really good prices on all my work, because honestly, a lot of the times I've been desperate with money and I've needed money. And so I've just kind of accepted whatever price they want to give me. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it for that price, you know, just whatever. I'm just trying to get some money, do some work. And I was always happy to do that and all that sort of stuff, which may have been the wrong thing for me to do in the beginning, which led to this. But so there's a little bit of the backstory, and I'd like to dive deeper in that, but I don't want to make the video so long. But hopefully that's a little bit to understand that. But let's start with the rings now. So in the beginning, my clients are getting married and they're trying to find someone to make the wedding rings for them. So they messaged me. They have loved all the work that I've done for them up until now. They've loved every single bit. Every time I've given them something and I'm hanging out with them, they're always like, your work's amazing. They're always lifting me up, just being so polite. They love it so much, and all the good energy that's been going into these things is always there, and everything's been great. So they've come to me asking for me to make their wedding rings, which is really, really cool. Appreciate that. I love how they trust me with the work and all that sort of stuff. So I was super happy to take it on, and they just wanted to let me work freely. They didn't really mind what I was going to do. They've loved all the previous work. So they're just like, look, you just make whatever you can with these, and we'll be happy with it because we've always loved your work and we love what you do. So they're just giving me completely free reign to do whatever I wanted with the rings, which is totally awesome. And I was just like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. But I never really crossed my mind to give them a quote on price, and they never asked for any price. So with that, no one's talked about price at the beginning. Like, I haven't brought it up, they haven't brought it up. I'm just thinking of something cool I can do. I'm kind of like stressed out. I'm like, oh my God, my friend's getting married. I've got to do some absolutely amazing rings that are going to last forever. I'm not thinking about price right now. I'm just trying to think about what to do for the rings. Like, I was excited. I just wanted to do the work, and that's where my energy was, just like thinking about the rings. And I would have loved to give them a quote if they asked, but they never asked anything, so that just wasn't on my mind. But if they asked, I would have happily given them a quote or something. But on their end, they also didn't ask for a quote or anything like that. So no money has been discussed, and I've received the stones and the gold and started part 1, which is making the woman's ring first. is what I decided to do. So I don't know if you guys are only watching this video or if you've seen part one, but we first started off by making the woman's wedding ring in the first video. So if you watch that video, you'll see at the start of the video I said I was dedicating 2 weeks of my life for these wedding rings, which is an important thing to note of how I work. I also did tell my client this. I was like, look, I'm going to take the next 2 weeks to just work on these, and he actually had some other work cutting stones that he wanted me to do, and I was like, look, I'm not doing any other work. I'm just going to solely be focusing on the rings because I want to get them done. They said they're getting married in like a month, so I didn't have long to do it, and I wanted to give myself all that time to just focus on that and make sure they get the wings before the wedding so they aren't stuck without them on the day. That was just really important to me to get it done, and I just wanted to make sure they had what they needed on the day. So that's where I began. And so I spent so much time and energy on the first ring, which is all in the first part one video. If you go watch that, you can see all the time I've spent on the wedding ring, just putting all my love and energy into this thing. And once I had finished the first ring, I was so excited at the end of the video, and I called my client. I was like, look, do you want to see the ring, or should we keep it a surprise? He ended up deciding he wanted to keep it a surprise for his wife, but he would love to see the first ring, so I showed him his wife's ring, and everything was great. Super happy with it. We were on like a little FaceTime video, and it was just an awesome feeling, like seeing how he was really happy. Everything was going great. I was super happy. So I ended up mailing that ring straight away that day. I sent it to him, and I was just wanting him to have it already before I even began on the second ring. Again, we didn't talk about price at all. My focus was just on making the clients happy and just focusing on the rings, and I was just really happy about the job. And he also didn't ask about price after seeing that or anything like that. He was really happy. We just weren't thinking about money at the time, neither of us. And so I had sent him the first ring, and I began on the second ring. And that is what you see in this video. The whole process of the second ring, spending heaps of time just dedicating all that time and effort, doing the best job I can, and I'm absolutely over the moon with the results. I'm so happy with how the rings matched, and like his was still masculine, hers was feminine, but I had the scrolls that match and everything, and I'm just so happy with the work. I think I spent all that time so well, and I did a really good job, and I worked really hard to get it all done the way I did, and I was just so happy. All the feelings were just really great at the end. And so at the end of making the second ring, I called him up. I was really excited to show him, and I was like, look, do you want to see your wedding ring? And he's umming and ahhing, and I was like, oh, is it good luck, is it bad luck, I don't know. But he ended up messaging me a few hours later, and he's like, look, I really do want to see it. So I showed him the ring, and he was absolutely over the moon. Still haven't talked about price. We're just over the moon of the work. Everyone is so happy. All the work has been complete, and so everything is going great. So now it was time for me to tally up everything I've done and message them a price to get paid for the job. And so after everything I did, I worked it out all in my head, and I sent them the quote of what I think I should be getting paid, and I landed on $1,500 for each ring is what I thought was super fair for all the work that I put into the rings. And after telling them how much I wanted, I get a message back saying, oh my God, mate, I can't afford that. So I replied to them saying, you don't have to pay all at once, just take your time. Because for everything I've actually done for them, they've always paid me late. They never really pay me on time. I always give them lots of leeway because they're friends of mine, and I try and just be as easy as I can. And I don't mind if they take their time to pay me, just sending me a few $100s a week just for me to get by, and as long as I have enough money to eat, I'm okay, and they can just take their time to pay whatever they need. I've always been like that, and I think that that's super important to note as well. He said, mate, there's no way I would have got them made if I knew that. I thought like $500 each max. And then he proceeded to tell me someone else offered to make them for $50 per hour, but I wanted you to make them. And he said, I'm literally shocked. So there was quite a few messages of us just going back and forth over the price. And he ended up messaging some other jewelers to see what they would quote him, because he felt my price was so high and unfair. He decided he was going to get quotes off other jewelers, and so he's gone ahead and messaged a few other people, and the jewelers have come back and told him that it should have taken me 10 hours max to do the job, and so max he should be paying me is $500 per ring, because that's what the other jewelers are saying. At $50 an hour, 10 hours max should only be $500, and that's what he's got in his head is the correct price now from these other jewelers. So we go back and forth with a lot of messages. I'm just trying to explain to him that comparing me to another jeweler is really not fair, because you're getting a completely different experience from what I'm actually doing compared to any other normal jeweler. So I'll explain that to you guys, like I was trying to explain it to him, of how my work is so much different, and you can see it in my videos as well of everything I have to do. But so first of all, he's sending a photo of the rings to these jewelers to get a quote on how much they would be to get it made. So in that quote that he's getting back from the jewelers is they're going off a picture of what the ring is. They know what it needs to be. It's already there ready to go. Whereas with me, I was actually free thinking that into existence because they gave me free reign of how to make the ring. They didn't send me a photo, which is going to take significantly longer than what the jeweler is thinking it's going to take, because he's got that picture ready. But I have to do a lot of thinking about like what I'm going to do next. So I'm sitting there just pondering. That to me is working. I'm literally thinking of the next steps, and it's taking way longer to do everything. I do explain this in the first video where at the start where I said I'm taking 2 weeks to just solely focus on this one thing and then not have any other stresses during the day, because I wanted to put the good energy into it. So I was just going about my days not doing any other work besides the rings, and just like if I'm going fishing or if I'm hanging out with friends, I'm just pondering on the design while I'm doing all these things. So even though it may not seem like I'm working, because I'm free thinking and trying to think of something coming into existence, I go have breaks constantly, just doing other things that are least stress, keeping the energy really, really good, just so I can put it all into the ring. And I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm waking up sometimes at 2 a.m. I'll just have a random idea of the next step to go on the rings, and they just get built from there. And that is how I just build something into existence, which is something that these jewelers just aren't thinking about. And then I also tried to explain that other little things that just take 10 times longer for me. For example, that a normal jeweler would have all the tools just right there in the workshop ready to go right next to them, whereas I have to do so much more to get one thing done. For example, when I'm rolling down the metal at the start of the video, you can see that I had to go find a local park with a nice solid table, and I have to hold down the rollers and roll my metal out slowly, annealing it 100 times just to make sure I can go by tiny bit, because it's too hard to roll otherwise, because my rollers aren't bolted down to a table. So a normal jeweler just has their rollers already set up right there ready to go in their workshop, and they can roll down the wire really fast because they don't have to anneal it. Heaps of times it's bolted to the table. It doesn't matter if the metal's a bit hard, because you can just power through it. I was a bench jeweler for 10 years and I've done all that, but the way I have to do it now just takes 100 times longer because of the way I need to do things, because I'm working completely different. Like, it's a completely different job is what I'm trying to explain. My situation compared to a normal jeweler's situation where he's getting these quotes from, it's going to take them way quicker to do all these things. And then the fact that I didn't actually have all the tools to get the job done, so I had to find a local gem club, so I was able to go borrow their tools. So I actually drove an hour to one place and then they were shut, so I had to drive an hour to another place, like to be able to actually find somewhere that where I could roll down my wire around, because I didn't have draw plates. So I had to do that, which is a lot of time out of the day, just moving around and traveling and all this sort of stuff. And after a lot of back and forth texts of me trying to explain this, I felt like he still didn't understand. So I asked him, should I just upload the YouTube video that I was saving to upload after the wedding, because I didn't want to spoil the surprise for his wife. And I had the first video already made of making his wife's ring, the part 1. And so he ended up just saying, yeah mate, just upload it and then we can go from there. So I uploaded the video. He's obviously watched it and he's seen the work that put into it and everything, but he ended up not accepting it. So during this time when we're going back and forth, and after I upload the video and all that, I actually uploaded some posts of the screenshots of what he was texting me on Facebook to get advice on what I could do legally here, because he's really stubborn of not wanting to pay this price and all that sort of stuff. And he had also posted as well on his Facebook photos of the rings, and he had so many people commenting, because he's actually got quite a large following on Facebook, and saying that like I'm ripping him off and all that sort of stuff without knowing the full story. And just, you know, as I explained to them, no one really knows my situation compared to any other normal jeweler. So There's a lot of stuff going on Facebook behind the scenes as well, but I would love to show you guys screenshots of them, but it's all since been deleted, and now that I'm making this video, can't go back with that. But the reason why I deleted the messages off my Facebook is because he threatened some legal stuff, and apparently it's illegal to post conversations on Facebook. But I did block out the name and number, and I didn't write any names, but I had deleted the messages anyway, just in case. I don't want to get in trouble. But since then, I have actually done my research, and I am allowed to post the screenshots of the messages as long as I don't have any names in there, and as long as I'm not fabricating anything and they're actually all true, and I'm not like peeking on everything. So I would like to share the messages between us, but I'm just not going to react to them. We're just going to observe them, and I'm going to put the messages here and just let it all be clear, because it's all true, and I'm not trying to fabricate anything. I just want to go over the messages with you guys, just so you guys can understand what I'm like trying to explain things about and stuff like that. So I'd just like to share some messages where I'm going to put here of the whole conversations after that, when he just wasn't accepting the fact that I spent longer than your average jeweler to do the job and stuff. So we're going to start here in the messages. He's like, Ryan, really simple. Why would I pay 3K for a job that a way more experienced jeweler could do for 1K at most, especially when I am saving money? It's not rocket science. One mate even said that if he did it, he might have said it's 1K but only pay me 500 and take the rest as a wedding gift. But some people are just different. Anyway, to make things easier and not to start a war, I would say the best thing is to get me that stone out of the ring and ship it to me. That is the one thing that will cause us both issues, because I was born stubborn. I can sort everything else out later, but I want that stone in my ring. It's important to me. And I said, then you should have gone to that jeweler. You shouldn't have come to me. My situation has always been different, and we have had multiple conversations about how I can't make things as cheap as the silver guy you work with. For example, we spoke about that multiple times. The fact of the matter is I have all of the video evidence of it taking longer than what any other jeweler would take, and if that makes people think I'm shit at my job, then whatever. The fact is I took that long, and that evidence is there. And he says, it took long because of your shortcomings. That's not my fault. You just came across to me as a great guy. I never for a second thought you would try this, or of course I would have gone elsewhere. I can show you messages saying people are disgusted you would do this just before my wedding, and yes, I can get it done for free if I get the stone, because there are people who are built different. Some people have hearts. I actually don't even give an F about the money now. It's the principle that would never allow me to pay it. And so I said, this isn't about hours anymore, as we have the evidence in the video. So now you're saying it's about heart, and that I should have just done it cheap for you as a friend, ? And he says, no, not at all. You don't need to discount for being a friend, just charge a normal amount. Don't charge me for you not being able to do it in the time any other jeweler can do it in. And I said, so because another jeweler can do it cheaper, faster, I should just charge that price and make the rest of my hours free, ? And he said, well, at very least, you should have said I might have to charge you ×3, or you might be better to get another jeweler to do this, because it's going to cost 3 times more with me. Especially as you know we are tight financially, I wouldn't have dreamed of doing it than saying, here is a 3K bill. That's just common sense. And so I replied, how was I meant to know what another jeweler would charge? We only found that out when you asked them. I didn't know I was meant to get quotes off other jewelers before taking on the job, ? And he says, well, you know now, so should you still be trying to charge me 3K? Do you have any kind of heart? I better stop talking, Ryan. I can feel the red mist descending. And then I said, knowing some quotes isn't going to magically give the hours I put in back to me, ? And he said, agreed. So then what would happen is you would go, shit, I should have warned him. I need to reduce it a load so I don't look like a C word and put things right, but you haven't even tried that. So let's not bother talking anymore. You have the address. And then I said, so what do I do about the hours I put in? And he said, send the stone back so I can get it set for the wedding. The rest of it I will work out later when I've spoken to some people. And then he also said, realize you should have told me before and do the right thing. Then I replied to him and said, you should have asked a quote. Why is it all on me? What about you doing the right thing? And he said, F off, Ryan. Seriously, you are being a C-word now. Just F off. So I said, look, I'm over arguing and honestly just upset that this has happened to me with people I held in high regard as good friends, and I'm cut up that that friendship isn't going to be the same. If you're happy to just move on, I'll send you the other ring if you do 1,200 on each, so 2.4K altogether. taking $600 off the price. And then he said, Ryan, it is still more than double what it should be, and someone just messaged me with a good point. 3K is nothing compared to what this will cost your reputation. I think $1,500 for both ring is way too high, but to resolve it, I would pay it and move on. So he was only offering $1,500 total, so that's $750 for each ring. And then I replied, I just can't get the time back I put in, so I'm doing my best I can here. And then I also said, a reputation isn't what I'm worried about either. And then he said, understood, but I'm prepared to pay $500 more than I think I should just to put it to bed. And I said, I can't accept that, as the evidence in the hours is there in the video I put up that exceeds that amount, and after taking tools I bought and travel costs, I'm getting even less. And he said, okay, don't then. I'm over it. Let's see how you feel after you see the video I post later. I have someone analyzing and making a video for me. You'll recognize the voice when you see it later. I still, to this day, haven't seen any video like that, by the way. And then he sends me screenshots of what another jeweler has told him. And he said, this is what people think, Ryan. This is my last 2 messages. And I said, how does what other people think take away from the video evidence of the hours I put in? And then I sent a screenshot of some people that were on my side too. So there's always going to be people on both sides, and that's just how life works. Your friends are going to go for you. My friends are going to be backing me. You know, this is how life works, and it shouldn't matter. So I said to him, I'm only sending that to show some people are on the other side. But again, it doesn't matter what other people think. It was meant to be between you and me. And so the video evidence of ours is clear. And so he said, okay, let's start posting comments. It's on now. And I said, did you receive my message I sent? And he said, I'm going to town now. And then I said, other people's opinions shouldn't matter. And he said, yes, I did. I said, I'm not having a post war. And he said, and that's why I'm literally getting bids made and the Filipino girls to start posting. I tried to say, I'm not feeding into that immaturity. I misspelled that, but we scroll to the next one and you can see. He said, too late. You started a war. I never posted a thing. I reacted. And then he said, you started this, Ryan. I was talking. You posted. Now you have my full attention. You will regret this. And I said, is that like a threat? I'm not posting anything bad, just seeking advice legally, as I don't know what to do legally. And he said, no, not a threat. You decided to play the social game, so let's and lay it. So I'm assuming he meant let's play it there. And I said, I'm not playing a game. And he sent some voice messages, which unfortunately I can't share because that would give away his voice, which would be illegal. So I'm not going to share that. But I can give you an idea of what he said. And he was like threatening my reputation to post all about this and thinking that my reputation would go downhill because of this. But I actually quite think the opposite. I think what's going on here, I am proud to show, and I'm proud of my work. And I don't think my reputation is going to go downhill once everyone sees this full story. So I said, okay, do what you need to do. I'm done texting. And he said, I would like to get some legal advice. You just hung yourself. Look at the laws around posting private messages on social platforms, which I have since done. And he said, Robin, my lawyer has asked for an address. Should I use a parent's address? And I said, I don't have an address. I use friends' houses to get mail. As I live in the van, that's what I do. And I said, my dad lives in an apartment complex and my mum lives in a caravan, so I can't use any of their addresses. And he's like, okay, give me an address. I'm already recording everything. So I just gave him a parcel collect address because that's how I get my mail. Just delivered to the local post office when I don't have friends' houses around. And right now, that's all I got. So I gave him that. And he said, let me ask Robin if we can send the claim there. And he said, you're a silly boy, Ryan. And then, yup, no problem. Cease and desist order will be sent today. Costs start today and we will pursue. Sometimes you try to pull off a little scam and it bites you in the butt. Still can't believe you didn't take $1,500. That's an insane offer for the work you did. And then we get to the last thing I said. And I said, look, mate, I've been thinking all morning and this has really stressed me out. I don't want to keep this bad energy, so I'm sending the ring and stones back to you. I don't want any money at all. You just take the work for free and are going about my life. I'll post in the mail today. And then I sent in the tracking number after going to the mail. And I said, all the rough opal you have given me to cut, the leftover gold, the ring, and everything is in this. I have nothing of yours anymore. No need to reply to this message. I'm just parting ways peacefully. Enjoy your day. And after that, he did leave a voicemail at the end and switched up all the negativity and just said, look, mate, I also don't want to argue anymore or anything. I'm still happy to pay you the $1,500. and you didn't have to send back all the stones. We could have kept working together and maybe resolved all this stuff. And then I didn't reply to that at all because I just can't accept that $1,500 because I feel like it's such a slap to the face with all the work that I've put into this. I feel like I put in way more work than what he's offering there. And like, if you think about it, like any business that's ever been a business, the client never gets to choose the price. Just say, for example, you go to a mechanic, you're getting your car fixed and they come back with the bill and it's $1,000. And you're like, oh, whoa, that's really expensive. I wasn't expecting that. So then you go to the mechanic across the road and they're like, oh, mate, I could have done that for $500. Then you go back to your mechanic and you're like, yo, that guy said he could do it for $500. So I'm not paying you $1,000. I'm only going to pay you $500. And then you're just going to expect the mechanic to hand back the keys and be like, yeah, mate, that's fine. Only $500. No, that's not how any business has ever worked. No matter what, you still have to pay what they've asked. Even if you're unhappy with the price, that's just how the world has always worked. And maybe at the end, if you really aren't happy, you leave a bad review or you just don't go to that person again. But never in the history of any businesses does the client get to choose. So I just can't accept that $1,500. It's just such a kick to the face, I feel like, and I feel really disrespected and taken advantage of because I don't have a business at all to back me to be able to save myself like a mechanic would be able to legally hold that car until they pay and all stuff like that. But I don't have any protection here. I'm just some guy that's doing this by himself in a van, no real business or anything like that. So I feel totally taken advantage of because of that, because I had no protection and he's just taking full advantage of that, knowing that all I could do is either take his $1,500 or I just send them back for free. But I couldn't hold them or anything because that would be like stealing, I guess. So I literally have no protection here and I just feel so taken advantage of, man. But I just really didn't want any legal trouble. That's why I just sent it back. And I didn't want to do any work for him in the future. Like, I can't believe he's come back and said that you still could be working for me and stuff like that. Like, the whole point of me taking 2 weeks to do this, putting all my love and energy into it, is my whole belief in energy and like just putting good vibes into things. How with the way I work, how I like to go about my day, keep my energy good, and I'm only solely focusing on one thing. I truly believe in all that energy. And he's asking me to keep working for him. Like, I would never be able to keep working for him knowing I'd just taken that $1,500 and being walked on all over, and just keep working for him and put the love into future projects. So that's why I sent back everything, and I just can't believe he would even think that I should keep working for him. And there's a lot of people out there that might think that energy is just a crock of poo and all that, and also I think my client could also argue that. But because of all this, there was some voice messages where he said he doesn't even want to wear the rings anymore because of all this argument that's happened and everything. He just doesn't want to wear the rings and he wanted to get them melted down and remade by someone else. So that's proof there that he's feeling that energy that is going into those rings because of all this negativity that's happened. He doesn't even want to wear them, even though they may be just as beautiful, and he was really happy with the work, just because of the argument that has changed the energy with them, and now he doesn't want to wear them. So people can argue they don't believe, but that's something I really believe, and that's why I work the way I do. So I do want to explain that too. And I was still really hurt that he's sticking to the price of another jeweler, saying that he shouldn't pay for all the extra work that I had to go through to get the job done, because it is not his fault and they are just shortcomings, is what he said, and that really, really hurts. Because the only reason why I went through all these lengths to do the job is because I thought I was going to be getting paid for it. I thought that all this was considered work. Like when I have travel expenses and tools that I don't have, I thought I was going to be getting paid for all this stuff because that to me is still work. But he's like, no, it's not my fault you have no tools or you're traveling or anything and stuff like that, so you shouldn't be charging me any of that. But I would never have taken on the job if I knew I wasn't getting paid for all these things. Why would I go out of my way when I already live such a minimalistic life? I have to save as much petrol as I can. I can't afford to just be driving around to random places and doing all this work for nothing. Like, I freaking live in a van, dude. And a lot of what he's saying, like it's above his budget and he can't afford it and stuff like that. I did say he could take as long as he wants to pay it. It didn't bother me that he couldn't pay it right away, so I was willing to work there. Also took that discount off the top for the mates rates that he really wanted, taking $600 off the total price, which I think was very, very big. And I really do need money to be able to live, so I thought I'd just give him that discount, which he wanted anyway. But still, he threw that in my face and said no, and was really just set on what these other jewelers was telling him that was the correct price. So that's all he's willing to pay. and that was it, even though I have proven that I went way over the hours that any of these jewelers would have gone over. And the way he kept on mentioning like other people would have done it for free just as a wedding gift, and saying, do you have any sort of hearts multiple times, I feel like he was just looking for that handout from the beginning. He was never intending on to pay the real price. So this whole time I was thinking, wow, these wedding rings, this is massive. This is so important that these wedding rings to last the test of time. I just wanted to put all that effort into it and do as much work as I could. He was expecting just a cheap job the whole time, and me, I was going over the top trying to do the absolute best I could. And maybe that was my problem giving him cheap jobs in the past. You help someone out so much that they get just so used to it, being helped out so much, that now they just expect it. I think that's so totally wrong, and I'm really hurt by that. And then the way he was just attacking me in the end, it was just really shitty that that came from someone that I considered a friend. And the way he's trying to use being tight financially and stuff as a way to get things cheaper, I think is really wrong. Even though I'm also tight financially, I never mentioned that until this video right now, but I'm really tight financially too, and I'm struggling, but I still really wanted to put all that effort into the rings and not do any other work, even though I'm struggling financially, just so I could do this job for them to help my friends out. I was trying to do the best I could, and I really thought I was going to be getting paid decent at the end, so I didn't really worry about my financial situation. I thought that everything was going to be okay, but here we are now. So you might be thinking, why don't I just accept the $1,500 so I at least get something? But I just think it's so wrong, and just part of me just can't accept it even though I need it. I just feel like I'd rather starve for a few weeks. I'm just gonna budget me food, you know, until I get some more work. Like me dedicating those 2 weeks, the whole big part of that was not doing any other work. So I didn't advertise for any other work or anything like that, like I'm usually constantly doing to find work, because that's the whole point to me putting all my love and energy into that one thing, which is so important to me. And that is something you would never ever get from any other manufacturing jeweler. No jeweler is just going to put every other job aside and just focus on yours. They're going to focus on yours and 5 things at the same time when you're getting their rates and getting things done by them. I'm a completely different worker, and people just don't realize this, and it's so unfair that I'm getting treated this way. Now, after all that, I also don't believe in keeping a grudge. If he was to see this video and turn around and pay the $2,400 discount rate that I said and apologized for everything he said, I would forgive and forget, and I could repair that friendship, and I could keep working for him in the future. But I doubt that's going to happen. But if he does, I will let you guys know, and I will make a follow-up video to clear everything up. But right now, this is where we're at. I also understand that people get very emotional, and that people say things they don't mean sometimes when they're really emotional, so I get that. So I think that's the end of the video. I've tried to get as much points as I want across, and I'm happy to reply to any comments if anyone has any questions about anything else or if I missed something. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video of me making the ring anyway. Something beautiful did come from this, and that was the work that came out of it, and I'm still really proud of it. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.